Hello and welcome to February.
Hello, hello, Laura. How are you doing? That is a loaded question.
I think we're okay. We're alive. We're here.
hmm I know, nervous laugh.
I
Nervous
know.
laugh.
How was your January? I know, loaded question. I'm sure your Patreon members know what's been going on.
Yes, my January was personally terrible, collectively terrible.
Mhm.
But that's okay. I'm starting to feel a shift finally. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, my
Mhm.
sister's been in the hospital since mid-December and she's getting a procedure done right now. And it's just kind of like nonstop. We're just trying to, that's kind of been my main focus. But
Yeah.
very on brand for like all that Capricorn energy that we were talking about last month in my
Mhm.
sixth house of illness.
Mhm. Mhm.
But usually it pertains to my sister. So,
Mhm.
what about you?
And-
What is
Well, I was going to say, as when you were doing the preparation for January's horoscopes forecasts, you were like, ew, basically. Because, I mean, as an astrologer, you see how these transits are activating your own personal chart. And so you sort of know what's coming, but you can't ever prepare for how it's going to manifest, right?
totally? In our last episode, I was like, I cried when I was typing up these notes, and it was because I knew that they were impacting a very specific point in my chart. And I was like, that's
Hmm.
just going to be sad. I don't know how it's going to be sad, why
Hmm.
how it's going to show up, but I'm going to be very sad when that happens. And it was on brand because astrology is
Hmm.
astrology.
And it's so literal sometimes. And I remember there was that chunk of astrology where I think you said it or I said it or we both said it that this is essentially going to kick up our era of civil war. And we are
hmm
in it. They don't ever,
Today.
yeah, they don't ever announce it, but that's sort of the era we're in right now. So before we get into February, we would just like to do a little recap of last month's stories. On January 3rd, there was a full moon at 13 degrees of Cancer, which was conjunct the USA Sibley sun at 13 degrees. And the US, in true imperialist fashion, bombed Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela, and kidnapped Maduro and his wife.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really on brand with Cancer and the stellium of planets in Cancer and protecting our borders, but then bombing other people's home countries.
And something that I saw that was like less circulated about this story is that in order to do this, the US military or whoever went over there for this quote unquote mission um, used sound like
Mm.
sonar. Did you hear about this? They used some
No.
sort of noise
Hmm.
that made people want to vomit and bleed from their ears. And that's how they were able to kidnap Maduro, was they used this sonic warfare. It was a
Oh my
sound,
gosh.
a wavelength, the sound, whatever. I'm not a scientist, obviously, but it
Yeah.
was some type of sonic noise that made people physically nauseous and
Hmm.
ill and drop to their knees and unable to move. And I think that's terrifying. That's like a different type of weapon
Warfare.
that we are capable of in this country that the
Hmm.
citizens don't know about that we're then using on other populations.
Hmm.
Just I think that's just a whole other
Yeah.
important.
But to your point, they usually test those things out in a foreign country. And then with the imperial boomerang, it comes back here, which who knows? To a neighborhood near you.
Well, exactly like
Nervous laugh.
what we saw in Palestine, what we've been seeing in
Palestine.
Palestine, and now what we're seeing with ICE. It's like there is a connection there.
Hmm.
So
Isn't it? Okay, it's not surprising because we've been watching through our phones 3 years of the IOF in Gaza and how similar those images look to what's going on in Minneapolis.
yeah.
It's like carbon copy.
Yeah, well, the police and ICE go to Israel to train.
Mm-hmm.
This is all interconnected, people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. On January 6th, there was a Venus conjunct the Sun, which is a Venus cazimi at 16 degrees of Capricorn. And then the very next day, there was Venus conjunct Mars at 18 degrees of Capricorn. So all the personal planets were connecting together in the sky. And on January 6th, experts warned the US may be in the early stages of genocide against transgender Americans. Did you see that? Did you see that
Yeah,
story? I was like, I feel like we have been.
for sure.
But that news came out on the day of the Kazemi, which I thought was so interesting. And then on January 7th, on the Venus Mars conjunction, an ICE agent killed Renee Nicole Good, who was a legal observer. And what we'll see later on with the recent murder of Alex Preddy is that both Nicole, Renee, and Alex are 37. And I saw on Threads somebody brought up that they were born under the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Capricorn. So the recurrence transit is sort of like recurring now.
Yeah. Yep.
And and I think this news of Renee Good brought up the murder of Keith Porter, who was murdered by an ICE agent, I think on New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah,
Um,
who was off duty.
mhm,
Um, yeah, and I think it totally important to name like the anti-blackness there, that
mhm,
his death was completely just overlooked and really has not been as big of a news story as Renee Good,
mhm,
who is this
mhm,
white woman from Minneapolis.
mhm,
But so important to name that, yeah, she's not the first person who's died at the hands of ICE at all, you know?
mhm. And I don't even think Keith Porter is either. I just
No.
think it happened right before Renee Good. And I think that's why his name was starting to resurface because people, like, obviously, rightfully so, were like, wait a minute, Keith Porter was also murdered.
Hmm.
And it is important to understand, though, that I think we are in this important moment where white bodied people are realizing the myth of white protection, that it's actually not about immigration. Like it is, but it's actually, if you're a bad white person, they're going to kill you. Like if you
Hmm.
get in the way of what the state wants to do, it doesn't matter. They're going to kill you.
Yeah,
I think,
I can't.
right? Go ahead,
Yeah, I was
sorry.
just gonna say I don't remember where I saw this on Instagram, but creator tag them in the comments if you know who this was. But they were talking about how like white supremacy is fake. It's made up.
Mhm.
And it's so obvious to the fact that if you're a white person and you are aligning yourself with Black, Brown, Indigenous people of the global majority, you forfeit your
Your whiteness.
protection, your
Hmm.
whiteness under white supremacy. And that's how you know it's freaking made up, right? Like that's one
Hmm.
of the ways that you know. Um, but yeah, so there are a lot of white people who are waking up and having important realizations and like welcome, we need more people.
Hmm.
And also I think it's so important to just remind everyone who is now joining that this isn't new, that this is
Hmm.
what our country is founded on, and it's
Hmm.
been the reality of people of the global majority since the dawn of the colonization era of this quote unquote country. So
But it also hasn't been new for white people either. They just didn't teach you that history because there is a history of white abolitionists like John Brown, who's the most famous one, and you know there was a such thing as the White Panthers, and they
mhm.
just don't teach you that. So you don't know that historically white people have been aligned to Black, Indigenous people of the global majority, but they always try to divide and conquer all of us and really impose this whiteness onto all of us. It just so happens that white people also benefit from being white. And the I think the most important thing to know in this moment is that it harms white people too. So
Hmm.
I think I think this moment is really important. That's why I was like, oh, finally. And unfortunately, Renee Good and Alex Preddy had to be the martyrs to this. Like they didn't
Hmm.
have to die. They
Yeah.
were protecting their neighbors. I think Alex was an ICU nurse at a veterans hospital. It was like
Yep.
he was checking all the boxes of like the most model citizen.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're killing white men. Where are the white men?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are all y'all?
Hmm.
So to continue with the news stories, on January 9th was the 1000th day of, this is how they're framing it, the war on Sudan, but I don't know if it's a war per se. It looks more like a genocide to me and a forced famine. But a lot of the Sudanese creators that I follow have been saying that it's the 1000th day and to support Sudan, obviously boycott the UAE, Dubai, and it's all interconnected with everything that's going on with Israel, US imperialism.
Yep.
And JD Vance said that ICE agents will go door to door now and knock on each door to see people's papers, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are also framing this as like I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Gestapo or Gestapo?
Gestapo.
Gestapo. But the Nazis learned from the US, not the other way around. They learned by watching how the United States legalized the enslavement of people, of Black people, Jim Crow, lynching. So I think that's also important to, I just
And
name.
literal slave patrols. That's
Yes,
what they based the Gestapo off of.
yes. So this has always been the United States, I think is what my point is. And I think the unveiling of, Neptune at its anaretic degree, the unveiling of this with sort of like the last population of the United States in the form of like white Americans, I think people were starting to see all these things. And then
Totally.
that week, when the personal planets were opposing Jupiter in Cancer, some good news here. January 10th, Zoran Mamdani announced that there will be universal free childcare for children over the age of 2. Yay, very Jupiter in
Hmm.
Cancer.
Hmm.
On January 12th, nearly 15,000 New York City nurses were on strike. They're still on strike. Mount Sinai, Montefiore, and New York Presbyterian, which is the largest nurses strike in New York City history. I thought that was also very Jupiter in Cancer. Then the personal planets in Aquarius were connecting with Pluto. And there was all this drama coming out about Brooklyn Beckham and his mom. I didn't read all the text messages or I didn't read like what he wrote, but I think there's been some rumors that his wife didn't want Brooklyn to be close to the family anymore because there was some jealousy or something like that. Have you like heard about what the tea is?
Yes, I love a mess. So I read all of the stories that he posted. And it's so on brand with the astrology because it's Pluto, right? We're talking about
Yeah,
all this plutonic
control.
energy, and
Yeah.
it was control. He was saying that he's been controlled by his parents his whole life, and this is actually like the opposite. Like this is the first time he's been free. However, um Anwar Hadid, Gigi and Bella's little
Mm-hmm.
brother,
Mm-hmm.
dated Nicola Peltz before,
Oh.
and they said that she controlled him
Ooh.
and he was kind of cut off and separated from their family in the 2 years when she
He
dated
was
him.
doing.
So
Ooh.
that's another layer. Okay. And um but then I also saw that Nicola's dad is like this billionaire. He
Mm-hmm.
got super rich from selling something ridiculous. I can't remember what it was. But he like has donated tons of money to Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I was like, screw this. I can't even enjoy this mess. Like there's nothing to enjoy anymore. That kind of pissed me off. But
Yeah.
and I stopped reading about it. But yeah, I looked at
Mhm.
all their birth charts and I was like, this is horrific. Fun fact, Brooklyn Beckham is born with a moon opposite Venus. And I
Mhm.
have noticed when people are born with moon opposite Venus in their birth chart, there is typically some sort of discord between
Mom.
their mom
Oh, mom
or
and
an
wife.
important paternal figure
Yeah.
and their partner of choice. Is there some sort of
Ooh.
um, tension? And yeah, so he has that. His moon's in Libra, his Venus is in Aries. So I was like, okay, there's that debilitation
Ooh.
there.
Yeah.
So that is just very loud. And then Nicola, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but I don't really care. Her birth
Nicolay.
chart, she's born with a Venus Pluto conjunction and it's forming a square, a T square with a Mars Saturn opposition. So I was like, there's definitely control stuff
Ooh. With
going on with
her.
her too. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if, Brooklyn's been controlled by
Both
his
of
mom.
them.
And yeah, I think that's probably more aligned with the truth. But,
Yeah.
anyways,
Wow. I just saw funny memes of like, is this what Victoria was doing at Brooklyn's wedding? And it's like her with the splits and her.
yes. Yes, those
Wait,
so
that
oh
just,
my God. Those brought me so much joy. Just a little pocket of joy.
she's literally Posh Spice. Like, of
I
course,
know.
she's gonna want to be like the alpha female in his life.
I saw a
I think she's an
funny
Aries, right?
yeah, I saw some meme also that was like if Posh Spice was my mother-in-law, like I would let her like punch me in my face at the wedding or something,
Yes.
Like yeah, Posh Spice. I probably would too. Like but anyways.
That is so funny. I don't know if you know this one, Karamo, who is a cast member on Queer Eye. He declined to show up to all of the media that week because he stated that he was emotionally and mentally abused by the other cast members. And I sort of believe Karamo because the other cast member, Bobby, also left, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know for sure, but they're giving Mean Girls. And I don't know. I believe Karama for some reason, but I have nothing to
Yeah.
back this up. But again, it was this sort of like personal planets connecting with Pluto, like the abuse sort of coming to light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. JVN, Jonathan Van
Van
Ness,
Ness.
right? He had a scandal like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, or I can't remember exactly when it was, but there were people in the workplace on the set of Queer Eye who said that he was verbally abusive or emotionally abusive. And so, yeah, I believe
Oh,
Karamo.
oh. Jonathan Van Ness is also an Aries.
Yeah, and
I'm seeing a pattern.
I think they have Jupiter conjunct their sun maybe or something like that, which
Hmm.
could inflate
Hmm.
a sense of self. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was just
Mm.
where my head went.
Hmm. And then Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's text messages were revealed. And oh my God.
Hmm.
I mean, this is how I would talk to my girlfriend personally. So I'm like trying to remain objective, but also the way that they were like, have you seen those text messages?
Mm-hmm.
Of course you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She thinks so
I,
highly of herself. Blake Lively, damn.
yes. Yes. I can't stand either of them. I've never been able to stand Blake Lively. I hopped off the Taylor Swift wagon after 1989,
Hmm.
many moons ago. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think the texts are normal. It's like normal, like friend chit chat, right?
Hmm.
Like how you would talk to someone. But I think they're both ridiculous people.
Hmm. I think that came out when Mercury connected to Pluto. So I was like, oh, like the text messages are being revealed now.
Mm,
On Okay, so that was sort of the pop culture section of this. We wanted to keep it a little light. On
Yeah.
January 21st, Liam Ramos, a 5-year-old boy, was used as bait to get his mother to come outside, and then after was kidnapped by ICE. And I think his father was too. So
Hmm.
they're kidnapping kids, y'all.
Yeah, and they have been. Liam wasn't the first kid, and
True.
even a federal judge ordered that Liam be released, but they had already
Hmm.
put him and his dad on a plane to Texas.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's like an image that's seared into all of our minds. His blue little hat,
Hmm.
like, for anyone who loves a child, loves your inner child, like it they're all our children, right? Like
Hmm.
they all matter. And yeah, that broke me.
Do you feel like watching an ongoing genocide has made you prepared for this moment or desensitized to this moment?
I think mm, maybe a little bit of both, but I also, I'd say in the beginning of the streaming the genocide in Palestine, I was crying nonstop,
Hmm.
right? Like all day, every day, multiple times a day. And I definitely cry less. And
Hmm.
I don't know if that is a function of being desensitized to it or if it's just like my hormones are changed and I have to mom and I have to pull it together and, you know, things are different. But I don't know. What about you?
Hmm. I don't know if it desensitized me, but it made me not shocked anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a
I,
good way to
I,
put it.
I think like watching babies being blown up sort of prepares you in a weird dystopian way for this moment. And I think
Yeah.
that's why Palestinians have been screaming at us for forever about like, hey, y'all should be aware. And so being aware, you like none of this is sort of shocking,
Yep.
unfortunately. Um, I hope that he's released, inshallah.
Same. Hmm.
So every year, the sun will connect with Pluto now for the next 20 years. And on January 22nd, the sun connected with Pluto. And this was the day that, or the day before, because the sun Pluto was January 23rd, that TikTok officially is now owned by, it's like its own app for the US users. And it's controlled by a new joint venture, 50% of which will be owned by a consortium of investors composed of tech company Oracle, which is owned by Larry Ellison, private equity firm Silver Lake, and Emirati-backed investment firm MGX. And Stephanie and I were just talking about how weird the algorithm is now and how censored we are already off the bat.
Yeah. I posted this video yesterday that normally is like the most popular video that I make. It's like these monthly horoscopes. Within an
Mm-hmm.
hour, hundreds of people like it because people care about themselves. They want to know what's going to happen to them. And 24 hours went by, zero views, not a single like, not a single person has seen it. And I was wearing a shirt that said Free
Mm-hmm.
Palestine, Free Congo, Free Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Larry Ellison is the one of the single biggest donors to the IOF.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's just a coincidence. And a lot of
Not
other
a
people who have
coincidence.
spoken out about ICE this week are also having the same exact issue where there's zero views.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I've noticed it starting to change today, but the algorithm is bonkers. There's stuff
Mm-hmm.
showing up on my page, and I'm like, what in no world would I
Yeah,
ever?
like how would this ever show up on my FYP? And
Hmm.
this is sort of connected to the Sun Pluto of last year when there was a blackout. Remember, there was like that 2 hour blackout, and then we all came back and we're all like, that algorithm was weird too.
Hmm.
So we shall see. This is going to happen every year now. And on January 23rd, there was the biggest general strike in Minneapolis history. And that was the day Mars ingressed into Aquarius. I thought that was very Martian, right?
Hmm.
But unfortunately, I think this was on purpose because after that, the next day on January 24th, ICE murdered another person, Alex Preddy, who is also 37, like Renee Good. And like I mentioned, the Saturn and Neptune, they were born under a Saturn Neptune conjunction. So this was the recurrence of that transit.
Yep.
And he was just out there protecting women and doing his like citizenry neighborhoodly thing to do of just recording and documenting on phones, which I think is also such a Neptunian signification, right? Like, I'm going to record this so that we protect our people. And the way that they all like, there were eight of them, I think, that just like started beating him up and pepper spraying him. It was like, why'd you then have to shoot him though? Like, but again, I think it was on purpose. I think they want to make an example out of like these disobedient white people.
Hmm. Yeah. Something that I think is super interesting about his death in particular is that his murder, I should say, his execution. So he was a lawfully abiding citizen who was carrying a gun, which is
Hmm.
legal in Minnesota.
Hmm.
Okay. And the ICE agents in the video, you clearly see he disarmed him. He wasn't
Hmm.
reaching for his gun. At no point was his gun ever, you know, involved in, he was filming. That's what was going on. But they saw the gun, they took it out, and they still continued to execute him.
Hmm.
I saw that the NRA came out with a tweet in defense of Alex and
Oh.
being like he's a lawfully abided citizen, you know? Like he should not that cuz essentially the administration is spinning it and trying to say,
Hmm.
"Oh, he was going to,
Hmm.
harm the ICE agents, blah 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 blah." But I'm like, that's how you know it's bad. If the NRA is like, "Wait, going against the
Yeah, on your
administration."
side. Well, I was going to
Mhm.
say, but if eight masked men are coming at you, wouldn't you take out your gun? Isn't that what it's for?
And he didn't. But yeah, I would.
He didn't. He didn't.
Yeah,
But like, wouldn't you if that was
for
isn't that what
sure.
it's for? Like these kidnappers are about to like murder me. Of course. Like, isn't that what it's for?
Hmm.
And now
I
all of a
know.
sudden, bringing a gun to a protest is you can't do that
Yeah,
when
but look at
literally.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
just a good little lad.
It's the gaslighting is again it's at another level. It's like we see with our eyes. And I feel like
Hmm.
that's also very like Neptune, right? Like them trying to take over the narrative and gaslight you into what we all saw in the videos. It's crazy. Even when they were trying to say with Renee Good that she was gonna run the ICE agent over, it's like we all see with our eyes.
It's crazy.
Why couldn't you have just shot her tires? Why'd you have to shoot her in the face, bro? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
To
bananas.
to your point when you were talking about how Neptune moved into Aries and filming what's going
Hmm.
on and like how that's very Neptunian. I think that's such a poignant point
Hmm.
because the last time Neptune was in Aries was the first time that photography was used during the Civil War to document it, right?
Hmm.
So now we're
Hmm.
documenting this Civil War in a new way.
Hmm. And we're going to have to because they're not reporting about it in Western media and they're censoring us on all these apps. So it's almost like we have to at this point. Like regular citizens are going to have to become war photographers.
Hmm.
War, like on the boots on the ground journalists. And I've
Hmm.
also seen like all of these content creators now going to Minneapolis. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Like that's also Neptune and Aries.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we are recording this the day Neptune enters Aries. So we had a little preview of this last year, but now we're here for good for 14 years. So it's an unfolding story, if you will.
Yeah. March 30th through October 22nd of last year was the preview.
Hmm. So shall we get into February?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So February, we start on the 1st, full moon in Leo at 13 degrees.
Yeah, so what a loud way to start out the month.
Hmm.
I think the first thing that comes to mind about this lunation for me is the fact that it's the last full moon in Leo that isn't going to be an eclipse for
Yeah.
the next year and a half or so. Um, and it's also going to preview and offer themes into your personal eclipse story. That's just
Hmm.
so you'll definitely want to pay attention. And the main signature of this full moon is that it's opposite Mars,
Hmm.
and Mars, Venus, and Mercury are under the beams of the sun. So, in traditional ancient astrology, that means that the qualities of those planets are kind of obscured or hidden, or there's just something that's not what it seems, right?
Hmm. They're a little weakened. How do you
Mm-hmm.
feel about Mars combustion, though? Because I've heard some people say that Mars actually still has its sort of maintains its nature because it is a hot and dry planet. So when it's being burned by the sun, it is sort of like or hot and dry already. I'm just going back to astrology 101.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, I don't know. That makes sense to me.
mhm. I'm trying to find the Six of Wands. So this is happening in the second decan of Leo, which is the Six of Wands, which is a positive card, right? It's like victory, recognition. Oh, I found it. It's it's a Jupiter ruled decan.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's a has a figure riding on a horseback with a wreath, on the top of a wand, a wreath on their head, and the wreath kind of signifies a little bit of that infinity nature, a symbol of completion, of success, and but also the circle of life, life and death. And
Mhm.
it is generally a great card. Anytime I get the Six of Wands, I'm like, iconic. I can't wait to thrive. Like, celebrate yourself, take up space.
Mhm.
Like, there typically is some sort of positive development with the Six of Wands,
Mhm.
but we know that the Seven of Wands follows.
Womp. Um,
um, yeah, I don't know really how to feel about this full moon. What do you think?
I feel like people are figuring out their role in collective liberation with this full moon. And I've been hearing because again, I think we're in this moment of a lot of white folks sort of waking up and being like, what do I do? And for me, that's such a hard question when people ask me that. I'm like you got to figure that out, like you have to be self-initiating and you have to start to like connect the dots for yourself, and I think a full moon is an opposition, so there is this tension, right? And the full moon is being ruled by the sun in its exile, the furthest place from Leo, and so Leo is this like fixed fire sign that's hot and bright, and then when the sun is in Aquarius, it's sort of like I don't know, Aquarians to me are like, I hate people, they're annoying, but I'm a part of a collective and we have to meet each other where we're at. And it's a lot of like coming together collectively to move forward and share ideas. So I think with all of the personal planets, so we have Mars, we have Pluto there too, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun, all in Aquarius, which is a very collective sign opposite the full moon in Leo, which is sort of like about the self and about leadership. It is sort of this question of what are my skills? What do I need to do in my authentic self to show up to a community? What is my role? What is my responsibility? And that's just how I'm reading it. And I don't know if everyone's going to be up for the challenge because I think this is something that Sam said either on his podcast or he said it somewhere. I don't remember where, but he said the revolution is not going to happen on the weekends,
Mm.
meaning like, we're going to have to sacrifice a lot more than going to these like parade like protests with our signs. We're going to have to boycott. We're going to have to divest. We're going to have to essentially pull our money out of the system. A lot of people are going to have to make really tough choices like break up with your MAGA husband, break up with your MAGA friends, talk to your racist family members. Like, this is all stuff that makes people uncomfortable. But I think in the context of this full moon in Leo, like, that's what's necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautifully said.
Yeah. What do you think?
I always say that full moon in Leos are this opportunity to reflect on what makes you shine, your unique
Hmm.
gifts and talents, and how can you
Hmm.
funnel that into the collective, right? There's that
Hmm.
balance there.
Hmm.
I also think since it does have this intense focus on the self, and full moons are this moment of tension and release, it's an opportunity to shed old versions of yourself, who you were in the past, instead of staying in this space of guilt or shame or
Hmm.
living in the past. You can choose differently. You can
Hmm.
accept who you were, what you did, and you can move forward and embody a more aligned, authentic version of yourself. So,
Hmm.
this is a time to uh, get personal and be self aware and to let go of what doesn't serve you in becoming the person you want to be to help reach your dreams, which is also very Aquarian, your personal dreams, but
Hmm.
also collective change.
And you said it best. You said it in the beginning, when we first came on here. You said something has to change,
Yeah.
and I think that is sort of the theme of February, if I'm being honest.
Yes.
Do we feel good about moving on from the full moon?
Hmm.
Okay, February 13th, Uranus will go direct in Taurus at 27 degrees.
Yes. So this is Uranus's final tour in Taurus, which is kind
Hmm.
of wild, you know? And it's going to bring us back to September 6th of last year. That was when Uranus retrograde kicked off. So similar themes and topics from that time are re-emerging. And yeah, it's finishing up this story in the Taurus section of your birth chart. And this is a turning point, kind of like an exclamation point for the final time in that area of your chart.
Hmm.
And it's going to leave Taurus April 26th, I believe, is when
Hmm.
it re enters Gemini. So this is a big turning point.
Hmm.
It can be a time where you're having trouble sleeping, or you have a lot of exciting ideas, or you're taking a risk, or a divine download comes through, or something surprising or shocking. I love when Uranus goes direct, and
Hmm.
it brings destabilizing energy. It can bring like
Hmm.
upsetting, shocking energy, and then it can also bring, wonderful windfalls or
Hmm.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was helpful in Taurus since Taurus is the most fixed sign, in my opinion. It's fixed Earth, right? So Taurus people, Taurus energy, they're so steadfast, or some people might call them stubborn, right? Refusing to move, refusing to change. And Uranus there for the last 8 years has been trying to disrupt and change and revolutionize something in your Taurus house. So it is sort of the last, 2 degrees of the sign of like, okay, we're bidding this section of your life adieu and we're going to move on. And, Taurus is my sixth house. And I've, during this time, I've like went up and down in terms of like my exercise habits, my health habits. I had to take care of my health for the first time in my life. And so it's been really interesting how that was like really literal for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. On February 5th, Mercury in Aquarius will square Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees.
I think it's interesting because this first slash second week of February is so Uranian, right? We had
Mm-hmm.
that Pluto week, kind
Mm-hmm.
of the week of the 20th of January. And this, beginning of February is so Uranian. We're having
Mm-hmm.
all of these squares to Uranus and Taurus, and Uranus just went direct.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this sense of progress and movement, especially if you felt stagnant in that area of your chart. But when Mercury forms a square with Uranus, it is surprising conversations, like off-putting interactions, running into someone you didn't want to run into, something going
Surprising news.
crazy. What was that?
Surprising news.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So again, I just always tell my clients when I do readings, I'm like, no astrologer can ever tell you how Uranus is going to show up for you, a Uranus
Mm-hmm.
transit. Like, that's a lie. The whole thing of
Mm-hmm.
it is it's unpredictable. So, can it be upsetting? Sure. But can it also bring exciting ideas and news your
Mm-hmm.
way? Totally.
Mm-hmm. And Uranus is also discovery and innovation and technology. And I think Mercury is communication, commerce, contracts. So we're like providing both sides, right? It could be shocking news in a good way or shocking news in a bad way. We don't know, like, I think that's what we're saying about Uranus. Like, we don't know the nature of it per se. I guess you don't really know any transit. It's all neutral, right? It's how it's all subjective. Um, yeah, or some technological advance could be announced on this day, for
Yeah,
example.
and Uranus is liberation and revolution, and Mercury
Hmm.
is community and,
Hmm.
your friends, your friendship circle. So this could be a time where you put yourself out there and you're mingling with a different group of people, or you reach out to an organization, you try to help in a new way or build community in a new way. It can be very like progressive as well.
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of like a positive manifestation of this.
Hmm. On February 6th, Mercury enters Pisces.
Yes.
Mm.
But you tell us about it. What do we need to know?
I I think globally, I think like collectively, I don't want to like project my fears onto the collective because Saturn will be in its fall, Mercury will be in its fall. And I'm always nervous when that happens because it's like we've already experienced so much of that in the last 2 years and tracking the patterns of that. That's what always makes me nervous. Um, I have Mercury in Pisces, and it's Mercury in Pisces is in its detriment and its fall. So there could be, news that's confusing or just nebulous or misinformed. But then in the other side, Mercury in Pisces is like very poetic and lyrical and musical. So I think personally, this is a great time to get into like poetry and music and art and divination, even or spiritual practices. But then in the like collective level, I'm like, I don't know. And we're also going to have that
Yeah,
retrograde, you know?
right. Yeah. I was going to say, you have Mercury in Pisces and you have a beautiful voice, both
Thank you.
singing and writing, right? I think Mercury, I've known people with Mercury and Pisces who
Hmm.
are writers and they write beautifully. And Um, so this can be a great time to express yourself through,
Hmm.
orally or
Hmm.
by hand. And I think, yeah, you have Mercury and Pisces and you're psychic as fuck. So
Hmm.
obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a spiritual person. And this is
Hmm.
the time to like get in line with your ancestral practices. What did your ancestors do? What type of magic did they do? Do some ancestral elevation and healing and veneration. And building that psychic muscle. It's a muscle that we flex. So
Hmm.
get your reps in.
Hmm. And because it's a Mercury that is ruled by Jupiter, it is sort of this like optimistic, Mercury. It's a very big picture, like we're going through this now, but collectively we're a part of a bigger story. I feel like I speak a lot like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Totally. Which we need. We need hope. And I
Hmm.
think that's beautiful. So I actually am a fan of Mercury and Pisces. It really kicks up your intuition and
Hmm.
it reminds you of how interconnected we all are.
Hmm. On February 8th, Venus in Aquarius will square Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees. And this is the transit that Stephanie always shows her butt.
Every year, I haven't showed an updated version of my butt, but it could be.
It could be
Uh,
February 8th.
it could be February 8th. It's looking prime right now. It's looking good. Um, yeah, this is a time to self-express in new ways, especially regarding your relationship with creativity and
Hmm.
pleasure and your sexuality and your personal values and to shock others,
Hmm.
this can also bring like sudden shakeups in close relationships, whether it
Hmm.
is platonic, romantic, business relationship, or invite you to take a risk and just do something different, experiment as well. This is going to bring us back to February 5th and then also February 3rd when Uranus went direct. So this is part of that like very Uranian week. This whole week might just feel kind of destabilizing.
Hmm. And at 27 degrees, which is also where Algol sits.
Oh.
So, yeah, when I saw this transit, I was like, oh, this is when all the freaks are going to come out.
Ew. Oh, yeah.
The freaks and aliens and all the like people with like quirky style and yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you know, also making connections on social media, perhaps.
Hmm.
I mean, squares are conflict aspects, right? They're in the nature of Mars. But we always say you can use that energy in a helpful way to like sort of go outside your comfort zone, like go on the edge of a risk taking. So maybe this is a moment where you challenge a relationship or I know you said the breaking up thing could also be that, but maybe you could try something different,
Yeah.
something a little it's not like a spicy it's not like a spicy transit, but like try something different. Maybe you're attracted to somebody that is like not usually your type.
Yeah. Or you meet someone out of the blue. And to your point,
Hmm.
it being a square, the nature of Mars, like I feel like pretty consistently I do get in a fight with someone when Venus squares Uranus.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm. On February 10th, Venus enters Pisces. We all love this.
Thank the heavens,
Thank the heavens. I've
especially a couple
already,
days.
yeah, I've already made my beauty appointments. I'm getting my eyebrows done. I'm getting my hair did.
Yes.
My
Yes.
Venus elections for all of February.
That is such a good call out. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You want Venus to be in its exaltation, to doing anything in regards to beauty, like cosmetic procedures. What else? Like relationships. If you want to like make an electional astrology for marriage or getting it on, you
Hmm.
know, I think, yeah, anytime Venus is exalted, I'm like, yeah.
Yes. This is going to be a couple of weeks where there's just a little bit more ease and flow in our relationships. And something I like about this for the first time since like
Ever.
2022
Hmm.
is that Saturn is gonna leave Pisces. And so
Hmm.
Venus isn't gonna be co-present with Saturn. It
Hmm.
will for a couple of days, but then Venus gets this a little bit of freedom and a relief to
Hmm.
just be delicious and
Mm-hmm.
juicy.
Mm-hmm. That's a good word, juicy.
Hmm.
On February 11th, Mercury retrograde will pre-shadow. The pre-shadow will begin at 8 degrees.
So you're going to really want to pay attention to what themes and topics are coming up, especially related to the Pisces section of your chart. We've talked about this. I feel like the pre-shadow periods are
Mm-hmm.
always the messiest.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then the retrograde
agree.
itself, it's like we're sweeping up and we're trying to repair and retool and
Mm-hmm.
rethink things. And then post retrograde is like tiny little speed bumps. You're almost done.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
pre shadow, even before it goes retrograde, is like this is when the drama begins.
Mm-hmm. And Mercury is in Pisces, so this is again not necessarily the best time to sign contracts. Um, Commerce, I mean, I wouldn't recommend launching your business on like during a Mercury retrograde. I know we're not technically in the retrograde now, we're just in the pre-shadow, but I think if you do that in the pre-shadow, it's like, oh, during the retrograde, you might have to like edit something, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
This is all dependent on your personal planets, obviously. And if Mercury is your time lord, you want to pay attention to this as well. So we're saying like very broadly, but I don't tend to announce things when it comes to my own like astrological business during a Mercury retrograde, right? Because Mercury is the commerce and also astrologers.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think those are all very everything everybody needs to know. That's a good
Mhm.
summary.
And on February 13th, Saturn enters Aries.
Ugh.
Dun dun dun.
All right, everyone, buckle up. This is when shit is getting real. This is
Hmm.
it right here. From this moment on, we are building towards the Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries. And this brings us back to May 24th through September 1st of last year when Saturn was in Aries. So we had personal and collective previews. And like Laura mentioned earlier, Saturn is in fall in Aries. Saturn has to do with structures, systems, leaders, government, tradition. And when it's in a weakened position, we see ineffective and possibly power hungry and violent
Hmm.
Aries leaders in place.
Hmm.
Um, and Saturn's meeting up with Neptune, which is rare. They only meet every 36 years. The last time they met in Aries was 1703. So there's a lot coming up.
Hmm. I've also noticed Saturn in Aries is like young men joining the like either military or I don't know if you saw recently in DC there were these like white nationalists with they were like they had their masks on and they were at a pro-life event in DC and they were holding the cross with like Jesus on it. That to me was very Saturn in Aries. I was
Mm,
like young men sort of joining these like militarized groups,
hmm.
and also possibly military. I think I told you about how I think this year with Saturn and Neptune, specifically Neptune and Aries, they're going to bring back conscription, like mandatory.
Yeah, we talked about that in the year
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, we
Hmm.
did? Okay, okay.
Hmm.
And Saturn rules borders, boundaries, structures. So I think Saturn in Aries is going to be obviously like what's been going on with the borders of our country and then the United States infiltrating borders like Greenland. And I don't really know the reason for Greenland other than like they probably have something that the US wants, right? Either oil or
Minerals, natural resources, like a
natural
ton of
resources.
natural
Yeah.
resources that can be used in technology and warfare.
Hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
Hmm. And I think it's interesting that at this stage of US imperialism, they're not even hiding their intentions anymore. Donald Trump was just like, "Yeah, we're going to Venezuela for the oil." They're just like so open about it. And I do think that is sort of a Saturn and Aries signification of like this authoritarian regime that's just like so authentic and like we're not going to hide. We're just going to, because Saturn in Pisces was sort of like nebulous, right? They were still trying to hide it. But here they're just like, this is what we're doing.
I know. I saw this other video that like Trump's board of peace, right?
Hmm.
He was uh he shared a quote unquote plan to rebuild Gaza, and in
Oh.
he was like, I'm a property guy. I've always been a
Hmm.
property guy. It's like, yeah, he's just
Hmm.
not even hiding it. It's just like he
Hmm.
wants to make billions of dollars off of this
Hmm.
genocide.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And to your point, the liberation chart of Palestine has Saturn and Neptune in Capricorn. And so this Saturn and Neptune recurrence is they're literally, I think it was Jared Kushner who was at Davos, like pitching to people, like, this is how we're going to build up Gaza. It was so
Mm-hmm.
creepy.
So creepy.
So, more on Saturn and Aries, but this is again Saturn entering a cardinal sign. It's a world point. So, things might be happening in the news.
For
On
sure.
February 15th, there will be a Sun square Uranus at 27 degrees. So, again, that 27 degrees is like a hot degree this month.
Yeah. I mean, we're still not done with our Uranus story. So it's bringing us back to the week prior, and the sun is the great illuminator. So there is some sort of revolution or insight or something that's illuminated around this
Mhm.
time. And also, it's the self. So
Mhm.
you're showing up authentically, you're taking a risk, you're pushing back against the status quo, you're embodying a more authentic version of yourself in some way.
Mhm. I also see the sun in Aquarius as like the technocrats, like the
Mm.
tech billionaires, and that square with Uranus and Taurus. I'm like, what kind of surveillance thing are they going to do next? I'm sorry I'm laughing. It's just to release the nervous energy of
Mhm.
the times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, totally. I think that's such a good point. And I feel like the last time we had harsh Uranus aspects, like during Scorpio season or something, didn't what's it called? AWS, like Amazon's main server, go down?
Oh, I don't remember that.
And it hosts like all of these other
Mhm.
things, like all of
Oh,
these websites
yes, yes, yes,
crashed
yes,
because of
yes,
it.
yes. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
Hmm.
like that was a Uranus thing. So something like that could happen.
Yeah. Or we're not like promoting this, but if anybody feels inclined to do something like direct action wise, wink, wink on like the data centers, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Doing like, because I'm thinking about what is our generation's Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, you know, and doing sort of these like underground actions. So the listeners out there are way more creative than we could be and can even say on here. So maybe February 15th is a transit to do something.
If you have technological skills.
Yes. Where are the IT people? Like, I'm thinking also GameStop. I don't remember the exact like transit for GameStop. Do you remember that when they
Mm-mm.
shorted the stocks for GameStop? It was through a Reddit thread.
Yep.
I'm going to have to look at that astrology. On February 16th, Mercury in Pisces will trine Jupiter in Cancer at 15 degrees. That's
Sweet little moment. Sweet little moment amidst the chaos,
mhm.
right?
Yeah. It's really sweet, really expansive. I think when Mercury meets with Jupiter, it is like sharing resources, especially with Jupiter and Cancer, mutual aid.
Mutual aid, great time for
Hmm.
promoting mutual aid, getting
Hmm.
involved, healing conversations, feeling
Hmm.
supported, truly
Hmm.
listening, taking
Hmm.
in what someone else has to say.
Hmm. And let me trying to think. They're both in a supportive aspect. So, yeah, I think sharing ideas, communicating, having conversations with people. I'm also thinking just like very simply, like taking a bath,
Crying in the bath, doing a
crying in the
meditation in the
bath.
bath, feeling your
Hmm.
feelings. That's,
Hmm.
it's coming through in water signs. So, like,
Hmm.
get emotional in some way.
Hmm. Yeah, crash out,
Hmm.
cry in your cry in your bathtub.
I love crying in the bathtub. It's my favorite
Me
thing.
too. Crying in the shower because you're going to need it. Because on February 17th, we have our first solar eclipse in Aquarius at
Hmm.
28 degrees. And this happens at 4:01 a.m. Pacific time. And yowzas, we've been talking about this eclipse for so long. I'm like,
I know. I feel like when we were doing the year ahead forecast, we were looking at it and we are like, oh, yeah, okay, we're talking about it. And then we got to the ruler. We're like, who's ruling this eclipse? And we're like,
mm,
Saturn, Neptune, and Aries at 0 degrees. Oh my God. Right? Like, it, uh, yeah, this eclipse is a biggie for many reasons, but I think the biggest one is that the ruler of this eclipse is that Saturn Neptune conjunction sitting at zero
mhm,
degrees of Aries. And it's the first eclipse in a new cycle and series. Okay. So, like the last time we had a solar eclipse in Aquarius, the last time we had eclipses with
mhm,
the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo was from February 2008 through August of 2009. And then flip flopped. The North Node in Leo and the
mhm,
South Node in Aquarius was February 2017 through January 2019.
mhm,
So think back to those eras of your life and then the themes in the Aquarius and Leo sections of your chart. Major stories are unfolding that are similar, but this eclipse in particular, it's taking place at almost the final degree of Aquarius. So that
mhm,
signals an ending there, right? At
mhm,
28 degrees. And then it's ruled by, it's answering to the energy, the themes of this eclipse are really all based on that Saturn Neptune conjunction in Aries, which is
mhm.
harsh energy.
Yeah, I think Trump's dying.
Oh, opposite his Mars.
And his ascendant.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that solar eclipse in Leo in his first presidency when he looked up at the sun? I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that is foreshadowing. That is some prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the
Mm-hmm.
same eclipse, the eclipses that are
Mm-hmm.
happening that time.
Yeah. And
I don't
now the
know.
South Node is in Leo, his first house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
that's the physical body.
he's definitely dying soon. I think when I checked, he's in an eighth house perfection year until this June. And I think Jupiter is now, it's in Cancer in his 12th house. And I think it's hitting his Cancer placements too. Like there's multiple places where like I'm like, ooh. But I'm just saying this that even if he dies, which he is, because we're all dying, right? It's not going to change the nature of the United States, but I know it's going to make a lot of people feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's soon. I think he's exiting this plane soon. But I mean,
Mm.
you're the expert in death transit, so you tell me.
I got a creep on his chart. I haven't looked on his chart in a while. I lost hope the last time I was looking and I didn't see anything coming up. So I was like, oh, but yeah, hey, everything you just said totally makes sense to
You're
me.
like, die already.
I mean, Mars in the first house, the eclipse exactly opposite the Mars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has Saturn in Cancer
Mm-hmm.
and Jupiter's
Mm-hmm.
probably kissing his
Mm-hmm.
Saturn,
I think that's what it was. It was Jupiter on
mhm.
his Saturn, and but he's in a Jupiter is this time lord. And we know that Jupiter also is the planet that frees us from our physical vessels.
And we know that his hands are turning blue and purple
Yeah.
and orange uh,
Yes.
in front of us. I don't know.
Yes. He's like decaying in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall see. So you want to look at the Aquarius section of your chart. You're getting a new moon here, new beginning, faded ending, faded beginning. And I feel like this is a seeding moment for something new with that Saturn Neptune conjunction. This is also
Yeah.
going to hit the United States natal moon at 27 degrees. So it's also sort of like this new era for us.
Oh, and didn't you made such a good point in our yearly forecast. Isn't the Saturn Neptune conjunction on the IC?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
It's
so
on the
this is
IC.
a double biggie
Yes.
for the US's chart.
And the US's natal Saturn in Libra is 5 degrees. So the US is going through its Saturn opposition as well.
Of course we are.
Yeah. Cause why not? Let's just throw
Mhm.
that on there. That's what I'm saying. Like things are changing and I think they're going to change fast. This is also the Chinese New Year, the beginning of the Lunar New Year, and it's the year of the horse, the fire horse. And typically when we're in fire years, things go fast and horses are about momentum and moving forward, and that's the energy that we're sort of coming into now in February.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, solar eclipse February 17th, so I guess this is the same day. Venus and Pisces will conjunct the north node in Pisces at 8 degrees, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
yes, that's
So
kind
that's
of cute.
yeah, some sort of fated changes regarding relationships or
Mhm,
creativity or even personal values,
mhm,
especially if you have any planets around 8 degrees.
mhm. Isn't that the retrograde station degree? Eight
The
degrees?
pre-shadow,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. The
yeah.
pre-shadow. Yep, good call out.
Okay, so there's some faded connection
Mm-hmm.
afoot. That's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
On February 18th, the sun enters Pisces, and we are in Pisces season.
Ah, I love Pisces season. I
Do
really do.
you?
I just
Um,
cry. I just cry.
Pisces season is my fourth house season, which is always so sad. Yeah, it's so sad.
Mm,
It's just like wah, wah, wah. I just want to be like a mush and just like
yeah.
not do anything. Uh,
Well, let me rephrase that. I used to love Pisces season because I would just get stoned like the entire season.
and you don't get
And
stoned anymore.
I'm a sober Sally.
So many people are giving up weed,
I gave up weed and alcohol. I'm just like, raw
raw
dogging
dogging
life.
it. Oh,
Yeah, since
oh.
August, beginning of August or end of July or something.
And do you just feel so clear and like aware and sober?
That so sad. I just feel so sad. Yeah. I will say like I do feel like it's heightened my relationship with my intuition, whereas like I used to
Mhm.
think, well, it's sometimes when I would get stoned, my relationship with my intuition would like really heighten. But I
Mm,
think now I don't rely on that to give
mhm,
me like the divine downloads, but I do feel
mhm,
very a deep connection with my spirituality. But oh
mm,
my gosh, I've been like crashing out with Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. I almost cracked the past 2 days. I was like,
mhm.
Joey, pack me a bowl. And he like he did.
Oh,
And I was like staring at it and I didn't do it, but I just been wanting to get high. So, but I might
yeah.
do it.
So I have to confess too, because I didn't clock that when you said that, but the last 2 days I've just been getting little drunk.
Please, please look at the
And
world.
Oh my God. So I'm a natally sun Neptune person. So like my relationship to alcohol has been so like up and down. And I would say it's come to a healthy place in the last 5 years since the pandemic when I went completely sober. I don't know how I survived that. And then I think it was 2023 when like the onset of the current live stream genocide of Gaza was happening that I was like, I cannot do this sober. And I just
Yeah.
started drinking again. And
Yeah.
these last 2 days, I just like, I don't know, I just wanted to do it. I was like, I just want to feel numb.
I, but I also think to be fair, like, and this is, I don't, I do think this. Like, we're humans, and
hmm
part of the joy of like having an earthly body is to experience pleasure too. You know, that's what we're here to do.
Exactly.
And it, so do I think that there are benefits at certain times from,
hmm
everyone's relationship with alcohol and weed and whatever is like different. But I think we are meant to experience
hmm
pleasure.
You know,
So I'm here for it.
I'm good. Literally, I'm gonna receive that. I'm gonna accept that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Not that I was feeling guilty at all or anything, but I'm not usually drinking 2 nights in a row until 2 a.m. Like I was just like,
Hmm.
and I was just like in the celebratory mood. Even though like, and I think joy in this time is so important because I think so many activists I meet are just they're like recycling trauma and shame and guilt that they never move past this moment of like envisioning a new world where we deserve to live, you know?
Hmm.
And I do think pleasure and joy and dancing and having fun is so much a part of a decolonial way of revolution, you know? So
Yes.
drink and be merry is what we're saying
Yeah.
if that's in your wheelhouse.
If that's in your wheelhouse. And that's
Mhm.
very Pisces. Perfect time when
Mhm.
the sun enters Pisces.
Yes. I love
Hmm.
that you brought that up as we're talking about Pisces.
Hmm.
On February 20th, Saturn in Aries will conjunct Neptune in Aries. I feel like this is the moment we've been talking about for so long.
This is what we've been waiting for, you
hmm
know? And yeah, the last time this happened was in 1989. We had the fall of the Berlin Wall, which
hmm
is a change in borders and boundaries.
hmm
And, that took place with in the sign of Capricorn. And this is
hmm
obviously that was when Saturn was in its domicile in a strong position, and now we have Saturn in its fall. So,
hmm
I don't think we're necessarily going to see borders and boundaries change in a positive way, right?
hmm
Like with Saturn in the fall, like I think we're going to see this heightened uh, racism and discrimination that we already are seeing um, continue and increase. I don't know.
But what I am hopeful about is how Minneapolis, the people in Minneapolis are standing up. They're
Hmm.
literally living under an occupation
Hmm.
and they're all doing something. And what I'm so hopeful about is most of the people I'm seeing are white.
Hmm.
Like this has made me regain hope in humanity. I'm like, yes, white people. Yes,
I do
you
feel
restored my
hopeful.
faith.
Yeah, looking at the images of community
Yes.
and people coming together for their neighbors and protecting each other, it absolutely gives me hope. I think that the Saturn Neptune conjunction initially, especially coupled with this eclipse, is going to be like you and I have talked about the empire in its death rattle,
hmm
right? How it really is going to, when abusers know that they're losing power, is when they're the most violent and harmful, right? So it feels like there is going to be this intense pushback from the authoritarian regime, which is Saturn and
hmm
Neptune. And to your point, and also there is this potential for the continued rise of the collective,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that there are more of us than there are of them, and they know it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
And they
why
know
they're
it.
being so violent. And that's why uh, they're doing everything that they're doing because
Mm-hmm.
more people are waking up, and that
Mm-hmm.
does signal hope.
Hmm. And I think that's why they chose Minneapolis because they are such a tight-knit community and they're trying to break them apart. And what they're scared of is like people of the global majority and white people coming together because you need white people to uphold the systems. You need people of the global majority to align to whiteness. And so now that that veil again is like unraveling, they know that they can't lie to us anymore. We see very clearly. That's why I think the power of social media, again, that Neptunian signification is so powerful because when we see what they're doing, it also helps us in other cities prepare. I mean, I showed my friends, Stephanie and I were texting each other this weekend. I was like, my sister and I are going to tactical training. And then Stephanie texted me this gas mask.
That I want to order.
I showed my friends and I was like, this is Virgo shit right here.
Yeah. And you're going to wish you had a gas mask too. I'll order one for you. Okay.
I'm crying.
I'll
So
get you yours.
intense.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Happy early
you.
birthday.
I was like, so I thought I was like, taking the step too far. And then I realized I didn't know who I was talking to.
No, you text me. I'm like, lady, I have my generator. I have my go bag. I got my crank radio. I'm ready for this. I have watched all 11 seasons of The Walking Dead multiple times through. I am ready for the zombie apocalypse. I might not be fit and ready for the zombie apocalypse yet. I'm training. I did 21 push-ups yesterday
Wow, but you're
on my
preparing.
on my knees, but I'm preparing, you know?
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
You need to share these tips. I hope you're sharing these tips on your Patreon because she knows exactly everything to get. I'm telling you. I was like, oh, she's not messing around. Like,
Hey, well, rip to Paul Powell, my dad. He was a Y2K prepper. So I got that in my blood, I guess.
yes, you do.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Saturn and Neptune in Aries, I'm in Aries, so I'm taking this very seriously and I'm enrolling my sister and I in tactical training. Um,
Obsessed.
so that's very Aries. So think about for you how you're going to prepare for this revolution we're in.
Hmm. Yeah,
Anything else to say about Saturn and Neptune? I feel like we said a lot about it in our year ahead forecast, right?
we did. I think the main thing is that it's going to feel like a noticeable shift, a new era, and there's really no
Hmm.
going back to what
Hmm.
was.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. And it's at 0 degrees. It's like, yeah, there's like a timeline shift happening here, a reality shift, if you will.
hmm.
On February 22nd, Venus in Pisces will trine Jupiter in Cancer at 15 degrees. OMG. This is so juicy.
Thank thank goodness.
Yeah.
Have some good sex with yourself or someone else.
Yes.
Like just enjoy a
Hmm.
delicious meal,
Hmm.
get a cashmere blanket or
Hmm.
something, take a bubble bath.
It's like a day to be pampered.
Yes.
Go to a spa, get a massage.
Enjoy enjoy life. Carve out a
Hmm.
pocket of joy for yourself and your loved ones.
Hmm. Yes. I really like that day for electional astrology too. For any of you who want to use it, because I think the moon is also in Taurus that day.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
On February 25th, Mercury stations retrograde in Pisces at 22 degrees.
Hmm. Yeah, this is going to bring us back to last April when we had a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. However, I will say that before everyone just like gasps and freaks out because that was mess. right? We've been
That
talking
was
about.
horrendous. Yeah.
That was also because we had a Venus retrograde and we
Hmm.
had Mars retrograde
Hmm.
post shadow kind of cleaning up its mess.
Yes.
So it's going to bring you back to parts of last April, um, when we had the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And also, there was a lot of other astrological garbage going on at that time that will not be
Hmm.
happening. I think the great thing about this retrograde is that it's not co present with Saturn this time. It's
Hmm.
not co present with a Venus retrograde, also. Um, but yeah, an opportunity to really rework the Pisces section of your chart and just know that frustrations are bound to pop up.
Hmm. And on February 27th, Mars in Aquarius will square Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees.
Hmm. What a way to end the month, huh?
Hmm. Yeah, I've been thinking about this one in terms of we were having those Mars square Uranus Urani in last summer, but Mars was in Leo,
Mm-hmm.
remember?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of, well, that was also, wait, was it in Leo? I think so. It was when Trump got his ear clipped. Remember those
Mm-hmm.
squares?
Yeah. Yeah. The alleged ear clipping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a transit to be aware of, like be careful, take your time. This is a like car crash sort of situation, walking onto the street and not looking and getting into a fight with somebody. But you can use this transit to break free of a habit. You can use it to, defend a community. I mean, I'm just thinking about what's going on right now, right? Obviously, take precautions. Like, I'm like, why are these illegal observers not wearing bulletproof vests and like protective eyewear at this point? To your point, the gas masks,
Mm.
because this is a day where somebody could like shoot your eye out or something. I don't know.
I think it's important to move a little slower. There's a
Hmm.
lot of impulsive energy when Mars squares Uranus. And, you know, this is a day where I've like accidentally cut my finger, I get paper
Hmm.
cuts, I sprain my ankle, like little stuff like that. Like you're more accident prone. It doesn't mean you're going to have a huge, you know, epic accident, but it depends on your birth chart. It depends on your
Hmm.
placements. So just be a little bit more cautious when you move throughout the day. These two planets being in fixed signs, fights that you start will have lasting consequences. Okay. This is an
Yeah.
energy that's just going to go away. And Mars is also a planet that governs policing and military and violence. And Uranus
Yeah.
is unexpected, surprising, destabilizing energy. So if you are protesting, organizing, involved in the revolution in any way, I don't know that this is the best day to put your body on the line, right? Like
Hmm.
this is maybe a time to come up with an innovative plan to try
Hmm.
something different. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's uh, deadly force used,
Or terrorist attack on this day.
something.
Because again, Mars is going to be conjunct the USA's natal moon
Wow.
because
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
27 Aquarius. It's activating the eclipse, right? Because the eclipse was at 28
Oh, yeah.
Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The eclipse point.
and that's what I was saying. I was like, I don't want to tell people not to go out on the streets to defend because Mars is also about defense, right? As much as it's
Mm-hmm.
action, it's also about defending. This could be defending your neighborhood. But I could also see some schmemorist attack on this moment.
Or it might just be like more deployment of
Yeah.
ice around to other
Yeah.
major
Yeah.
democratic cities or sanctuary cities, right? Like it could be that, and
True.
that could cause you to need to defend your neighbors and go out
Yes.
and be on the front lines.
Hmm.
So obviously, this energy can manifest in many ways. We're just speculating and throwing some
Hmm.
ideas out there. But if you do go out and you do need to go out, just be
Be
mindful,
careful.
be
Yeah.
careful, move slowly, protect yourself, bring your gas mask, right? I will.
Stephanie will link it down in the description.
In the bio. And no, I'm not an affiliate for the gas mask.
Sure.
I
You
wish
just start a link tree or
I
whatever, like
should
a link to
a
like.
storefront. Yeah, I should. My prepper
Start getting
storefront.
the royalties or whatever,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
funny. Yes.
So that is your February. We hope you have a safe month and we will see you in March, right?
We'll see you in March.
Bye.
Bye.